everybody, and welcome yet again to another episode of Flavor Town. My name is Chef Alan. Very happy you could join me here today. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what I normally do. I got a request at the end of last week's episode about the sear that I talked about in the fish taco. Searing is one of those techniques that when you master it, it takes your food from being good to being great. One of the first things you'll learn in culinary school and working in professional restaurants is searing. It's one of those techniques that, like I said, once you learn it, your food just becomes that much better. For today, and to learn the sear, I've taken a recipe kind of from the south of France. If you can picture France with me for just a second, it's almost got a box shape to it, really jagged edges on this side because of the mountain range. Down over here you got Spain, over here you got Italy. South of France, right in here is the Mediterranean Sea. This strip right here is called Provence. That's where this recipe is coming from. Very Mediterranean climate, warmer climate, as opposed to this north of France up here, where you have Paris right about in the center, north center actually, Alsace right against Germany over here. Up near the top, these lots of creams, butters, fats, because it's a colder climate up near the 45th parallel versus the cooler or the warmer climate down here at the Mediterranean. So the food down here much closer resembles Greek food, Spanish food, even Italian influences, lots of pastas, tomato sauces, things along those lines. But I'm keeping it simple for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the importance of searing. Before we get into searing though, I also want to mention the importance of a mise en place. Mise en place being an old school French term for having your shit together, more or less. It's having everything in its place is what it literally translates as. So I already have done all of the prep work. That I have my shallots are cut, my tomatoes are halved, my olives are cut down, I've got my capers measured out, my garlic's measured out, I got my red wine standing by, all my seasonings are standing by, my chicken's almost ready to go. I want to show you guys how I break that in half. This breast is huge. So for this recipe, and for a lot of sears, you're looking for thinner pieces of meat. With how big this chicken breast is, I'm just going to cut it in half, very, very carefully, about like so. That way I get two pieces. I already stripped the tender off of it. I'm going to go in here with some salt, pretty liberal dosing, both sides. Wash my hands up because of that chicken. Muy importante, as they say on the streets. Okay, we'll hit it with some of that black pepper. Again, I say it in every video, but it's the truth. Invest in a good pepper mill, guys. It makes all the difference in the world. I'm also going to turn my pan on at this point. Let it start heating up. I'm not going to use a non-stick skillet for this. I want you guys to see that you don't have to use non-stick skillets. You get some great, great flavor out of a regular pan. I'll season this piece up too. We'll cook this up, might as well since we got stuff rocking. The importance of getting a pan hot when you're doing a sear is critical. So I'm going to make sure that my pan gets nice and hot. We're going to wait, we're going to add our oil. Once the pan is hot, that's going to create a layer that'll keep your chicken from sticking. The oil will almost instantly start to come to a smoke point. And when it gets that hot and the moisture of the chicken hits, it creates a vapor barrier that sears the meat and keeps it from sticking. So while this is heating up, we'll talk about our other ingredients. Cherry tomatoes, super, super ripe. I found them. A great, great product for this dish. If you can't find cherry tomatoes that are ripe, go ahead and use a petite diced tomato in a can. You can even use just pureed tomatoes in a can. I don't recommend using like a tomato sauce, like a ragu or something to that effect. It has too much seasoning in it. This recipe is very dialed back on seasonings. I also don't like canned ragu, things along those lines, because you can't control the amount of sodium, you can't control the different aspects that they put in it, the artificial preservatives, things along those lines. So I steer away from that stuff. My personal recommendation, if you're going to buy a canned product, I really like Hunt's. They don't sponsor me, nothing along those lines, but they use flash steaming as opposed to other methods of peeling tomatoes. They do a couple other really good techniques that keep it fresher longer. They don't use the artificial preservatives that a lot of the other people do. Highly, highly, highly recommend that. But we also got some shallots, Katamala olives. Buy pitted Katamala olives, just run your knife through them really quickly. Katamala olives have like this great buttery, rich texture to them. They're fantastic. Curly parsley that I've just cut up, ran my knife through them. We talked about chiffonade last week, or 2 weeks ago, and we can go ahead and chiffonade that. Capers, if you can't find them, usually they're going to be either pickles, or sometimes by like the Italian section of your grocery store. Red wine, I'm using what I had open. When you're cooking with wines, it's important that you use something that you want to drink. What you're doing is you're concentrating flavors when you cook. All that steam and stuff that's coming off of a pan, you're getting rid of the moisture, you're keeping all the flavor, you're concentrating the flavor. So don't buy cooking wine. I hate that stuff, and I really think that it should not be allowed because it tastes like crap, and you're concentrating crappy flavor in your recipe at that point. We got our red wine, really nice. I'm actually drinking a Pinot Noir, really tasty stuff. Some freshly shaved Parm cheese. All that you do for that is use your vegetable peeler and you actually peel the cheese. It makes these really nice shavings, and we'll be garnishing more or less with that. Check my pan. It's getting nice and hot. Don't touch your pan like that, like I do. But if you throw some water in there, you hear it sizzling right away like that, you know you're good to go. Don't ever, well, I shouldn't say don't ever. I highly recommend not searing with extra virgin olive oil, or even olive oil for that matter. It has too low of a smoke point. I'm using canola oil to get my sear on. I'm going to go in there with probably about a tablespoon, and it's going to be just barely enough to cover the bottom of my pan. And once that goes in there, it kind of makes this ripply, wavy look on the bottom of the pan. I know it's going to be probably hard to see in the videos. I should adjust this one so that way you guys can see this a little bit better. Yeah, it's almost working. So, and I can already start to see little whiffs of smoke starting to come off this. I'm going to boost my heat just a little bit more. I'm seeing the smoke starting to come off. When you do a sear, presentation side should always go down first. Presentation side on the chicken breast is going to be the skin side. So we'll go in, kind of lay it away from you. Same deal with the other one. Lay it away from you. And we'll kind of stick our tender. We'll hold off on the tender. I'll put that one later. Now I know it's going to start to get a little bit loud in here. What you're going to be looking for on this sear though is right around the edge of the chicken, it should start to turn brown. Until that happens, don't touch it. It knows what it's doing. It's probably sticking just a little bit to the pan right now. It'll release. As soon as it caramelizes enough, it'll release. So don't touch it, don't screw with it, let it cook. It knows what it has to do. I'm going to make a little note to myself while I'm editing this later. Alright guys, so welcome back. I'm glad that that break didn't take too terribly long. Hopefully, and I got that overhead camera zoomed in now, so it should be working a little bit better. You guys should see it up here. But what I'm looking for is all this chicken is releasing really nice. And what I mean by releasing is I see brown edges going all the way around the chicken. It's starting to turn color. It's going from being that pinky, what's a good term for it? Pinky opaque kind of a color, and then it's starting to turn white around the edges. So it's telling me that it's cooking through. I'm looking at the bottom of it, and it's definitely getting a nice sear on it. So I'll flip this over and I'll let you guys see what that sear looks like. That golden brown, welcome to Flavor Town, folks, alright? That's what we're looking for, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I call this show what I do. So we're going to give it just a few more minutes on this side. I'm looking for the chicken to cook through. 165 degrees internal cooking temperature is perfect degree for chicken. I'm then going to take it, I'll pull it out, set it aside, let it rest while we build our sauce. Yeah, so I will see you guys back here in just a second after this finishes cooking. Alright guys, welcome back. So we're almost there. I'm just checking my chicken. It's not going to be easy for you guys to tell just by touch. I have so much practice at cooking. I know by feel how firm the chicken is, how much it's cooked. This is right about there. I've got excellent sears on both sides of this chicken. You guys can see when I move it over here. This is what I'm going to rest it on. Hopefully on this overhead camera, but I'm going to show you guys too. This is a beautiful thing. You got a little whiff of smoke coming off. I've got those great little brown bits in the bottom of the pan. Another great reason not to use non-stick when you're making a recipe like this. Those little brown bits are something that the French call fawn, and I'll get back to that in just one second, but I want to finish cooking with this before this burns. So I'm going to go in with my shallots. The shallot, more or less, is just a sweet, very small little onion. We're going to go in with our, well, I'll give that just a second, a little stir. You got a big release of flavors coming off this right now. I'm going to go in with my garlic as well. Again, just a little stir, and then we're going to go in with our tomatoes. And we're going to let all that stuff start breaking down. So what I was talking about, that fawn is French for foundation, right? All those little goody bits at the bottom of the pan are going to add so much flavor and such a depth of flavor to this dish. I really cannot stress enough the importance of not using a non-stick pan with this dish. It's going to make the difference between a really good dish or a really great dish. So since I got so much more product in there, I'm going to boost my heat just a little bit, as I recommend you guys do at home. Those tomatoes are starting to give up their juices and their goodness. We're going to get rid of our tongs at this point. And go in with a nice heavy pinch of salt. You season it as you go. You don't have to add as much salt at the end. I'm going to switch out to a spatula. We're going to keep this stuff moving. Tomatoes are softening up beautifully. All those little brown bits at the bottom of my pan are releasing just like I want them to. We've got good things going on. I'm going to next go in with my capers so they can cook down a little bit. If you don't know what a caper is, it's kind of like a berry. It grows like a juniper berry on a plant. They then pickle them, and it has this great briny, almost like an olive flavor, but not olive. Just one of those things. You're going to have to experience it for yourself. I don't know how to explain it properly. Tastes like a caper. I'm going to go in with those Katamala olives that we talked about earlier. Again, that great buttery, rich flavor. I'm also going to go in at this point with my red wine. And we're just going to let this start to reduce and cook down. It's going to thicken up a little bit. Oh, we got some good things going on here, folks. I can't. We really need to work out smell vision. I'm getting flustered right now because of how good this smells. My mouth is like watering. It's Niagara Falls in my mouth is what I'm trying to say. It's insane. Smell is super good. Boost that heat just a little bit more. A little bit more salt. I'm going to go in with a good heavy grind of fresh cracked black pepper. And I'm going to be fast forwarding through this part too. I'll just go to the overhead camera. So we're going to want to let this reduce a little bit. As it reduces, concentration of flavors like I talked about earlier, all that steam that I see coming off is a great thing. Flavors are becoming bigger, bolder, better. Once that's reduced, I'll come back and we'll finish talking about how we're going to plate everything up. I'll see you guys in just a minute. Alright guys, so welcome back. We've got an amazing, amazing thing going on right now. Really good reduction. I'm going to actually kill my heat at this point. That's what you're looking for. Hopefully you guys can see this in the overhead camera over here. But that's what you're looking for. It's got a nice sauce consistency to it. I'm going to be finishing it up with that parsley that we talked about earlier. This parsley is a really great fresh flavor. I am going to use quite a bit of it. You guys are probably thinking, oh my god, it's too much, but it really isn't. So there we go. That's it. That's just as easy as this sauce is. We'll taste it, make sure that my seasoning's on point. Always taste it before you serve it. But always let it cool off before you just stick it in your mouth. But wow, is that good. So I'll show you guys how we're going to do our plating. I'm going to take my chicken breast, slice it up, nice heavy angle. Couple good slices on that. I cooked off my pasta earlier, nice and al dente. I'm me adjust this camera so that you guys can see what I'm plating. Oh, Billy. Wrong way. Okie dokie. Cooked off some pasta earlier. I'm pretty sure that just about everybody has a carving fork at home and you don't know what the hell to do with it. It's awkward as hell to sit there and try to carve a turkey with a carving fork. I don't know anybody that actually does it. The best use in the world for this is actually with pasta. So I'll show you guys what I do. So then take my pasta, give it a little toss. We'll get it bound up on that fork like this, and then swirl it. You pull up the pasta, get everything nice and tangled up on that fork. We'll then go over to our plate. We'll stand it up just about like so, and then lay it. You get a beautiful stack of pasta just like so. And I'm trying to do everything backwards so that you guys can see a little bit easier in the video. We're then going to take our chicken, lay it on there just like so, go in with some of this beautiful sauce just over it. Right? Something simple like that. Try to get just some of that juice for the pasta so it's nice and tasty. Maybe just another titch of parsley. Something like that. A couple of pieces of that shaved Parmesan that we were talking about. Alright guys, there you have it. Really, really simple dish. Big flavors. Very healthy for you. Highly recommend that you try this one. Chicken Provencal, south of France. Really, really good. Remember, as always, to keep that pantry stocked. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And yeah, have a great week, guys. Happy Sunday to you. Talk to you soon. Bye.